This is part one of a video series about removing undercuts from dental triangle mesh scan data. It's applicable to other types of triangle mesh data. The concepts are the same, but this little series will be targeted at developers and modelers who are in the 3D dental kind of development arena. Okay, so there's a supplemental document here that goes along with this, and this document is going to be growing and being refined, but where we go over a few techniques that are out there. I don't claim that this document is comprehensive, but it's a comprehensive overview of my experience with removing undercuts from dental models. I have the most experience of that from my development of our splint module for D3 tool, where we kind of have a pretty nice algorithm, very tailored for splints. Splints are flexible, and you want some undercut and some retention and some amount of blockout. And so I won't be going that far because this document is more aimed at completely blocking out to create a totally passive model. Okay, so that's for very rigid appliances, so things where you don't want any snap or retention at all. Okay, so the first kind of technique is to just project a grid of points down onto the model. Okay, because the fundamental concept here is that if you look down from above, the undercut parts of the mesh or the shadowed or hidden parts of the mesh are not visible, so they won't be captured. Alright, so here we have a grid, and what we can do is project that grid down onto the model, and then any points that don't hit the model we just project to a flat plane below. Okay, so this is nice in that, let's see here, and I need to flip the normals here. And let's turn off the edge length. Okay, and this is nice because when we're projecting a predefined topology, your grid can never not become a grid. There's no way for edges to get twisted or things to get to self-intersect. You're doing this from one direction. So benefits here are that it's easy to implement. It's a simple concept, and the integrity of the output mesh is preserved. Okay, but what we can see here is that we don't capture kind of important parts of the model, particularly corners. And corners are fundamentally a very important area of the mesh to catch. All right, so one technique for that, we might think, all right, well, why don't we just make our grid spacing smaller? So I'm going to shrink our grid resolution by half, but know that we're doubling the grid resolution. We're going to quadruple data density grows as a square of the resolution in this case. So we're going to quadruple the number of verts in the mesh here, and then repeat our projection. But what we can see is that we still have quite a bit of error, and just eyeballing it here, we could quantify this. If you knew the maximum height of a particular drop-off or undercut, and you estimated the worst case scenario spacing where you miss the corner by the width of the grid, you could actually quantify the error here, and then you could work backwards to find out the resolution you would need to make that error acceptable. But I'm going to propose a different technique because this error is always at the worst spot, the kind of resolution you would need to make it insignificant. are just going to vastly outweigh the benefits. The extra resolution here is going to be not worth it computationally, and the results still won't be that great. So we're going to work smarter later, but this is a perfect introduction into a decent technique. Okay, so in review for technique 1, it's just a grid projection. When we project from above, we can't see the undercuts, so there's no way to create a model with undercuts this way. It takes really high resolution to be precise, and even doing so, the error is fundamentally in the worst spot. So I'm going to say that technique 1 is good for a simple understanding, and we can actually make modifications to technique 1 later that will improve the results and the efficiency.